Welcome to another episode of our podcast, Życie Bez Gruchy, Life Without Purse. Today our guest is somebody who provides consulting and education for digital assets, blockchain, NFTs, Bitcoin mining, and more. And I met that person at the Bitcoin 2022 in Miami. It was a beautiful event, amazing speakers, a lot of vibrant, I would say, attendees who are entering the crypto market. And so her name is Jackie Cooper, known as CryptoMom, and she will be answering a few of our questions around Bitcoin mining and her book, the Bitcoin Cinderella. So CryptoMom, thank you for your time. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here today and to be talking with you and just kind of sharing information to everyone who's listening. I'm really excited about that.
So everyone wants to know what attracted you to crypto and how did you get started?
So, that's a really interesting story. I had been curious about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin for many years, and my background's law, and I'm also an educator. And I had a lot of questions, but I wasn't able to find individuals that I could chat with, even though I reached out to a lot of different people. And so I finally stumbled on someone who actually lives in Scotland. And so Yvette started helping me by answering questions. And she showed me how I could actually invest in my first altcoin, which had an ecosystem. And I'm really, glad that I experienced that first altcoin because it allowed me to look at this from a different perspective, because then I realized, well, I could travel with using the altcoin. I could get, food using it. It was just like an alternative currency. And then as I started to explore more, I realized that the blockchain is so vast in terms of what's going on it. And it was like what everyone says, you go down the rabbit hole and, just one door opens, another door opens, and, your learning starts. So it's been amazing for me.
Just how we met, at the conference. So you go and you never know what sort of doors are gonna open. So let's talk maybe how we met, because you were a volunteer at the Bitcoin conference in Miami. So maybe talk about that part. Why did you decide to get involved into into the biggest crypto conference?
I had heard about the Bitcoin conference because of some of the newsletters that I have hitting my email all the time, and because I'm trying to educate myself for my talk show and that type of thing, and for sharing with other people. And when I learned that last year that there was this major conference just focusing on Bitcoin that I was just learning about. And what's really funny is Bitcoin's only 13 years old, but when I first heard about Bitcoin, way back when, I thought, it's kind of cute. It's not going to last, and obviously I was really wrong. And so, no regrets, but now I'm learning about it. And so when I found out that there was this major conference, I thought I have to be there. I have to learn more about what it's all about. So I reached out and I was able to get on the volunteer list. And I was very, I don't want to say aggressive about it, but I really wanted to volunteer there. So I knew they had a lot going on, and I finally got a response back saying, yes, you can volunteer. And I was ecstatic. So I didn't know what I was going to be doing when I was there, because again, you come down and you're assigned that day. I ended up being all 4 days volunteering. Each day was phenomenal. The first day I was at the Bitcoin mining stage, and I sort of positioned myself because I knew my background and my skill set. So I knew I could work with high level people. And so I volunteered myself to help get the speakers on the stage. And so at different, so I was helping them get to the person who needed to mic them. And I was meeting a lot of great people. And some of the people I had actually interviewed, which was kind of funny. So that was the first day. And the second day I was at the I was at the marathon stage, which is in the exhibit hall. And that exhibit hall was huge. And then the next day I was at the open source stage, listening to, again, helping getting speakers to, where they needed to go, and navigating the audience and asking any questions if people didn't know what to do. And I was hearing, conversations about privacy, about coding, and all these, about nodes, all these things that, still some of it's above my head. I'm still learning about it. And then the last day it was the music day. And so I was outside and I was assigned over to the whale area. And for those that don't know, the whales are those that are heavily invested in coin.
They paid $20K just for the ticket, right?
Just for the ticket, yeah. And so it was a phenomenal time. And I met you when I was on one of my breaks, and I turned around and I saw you, and we started talking. And again, I tried to take advantage of every opportunity to meet people from all over the world. I mean, it was just.
Let me stop you here for a moment. Why is that important? Why is that important? Because some of our audience are people that live in Poland. Why is it? And a lot of the people, on the internet, young people, because maybe of the internet, maybe that's one of the, I would say, symptoms of going digital, is that people are afraid to meet people. People are like scared to talk to people face to face, right? Especially when that's a cold approach. Especially that when we just have to introduce ourselves. Maybe you can say why is that important to go and meet as many people as you can?
Yeah, so I've always loved to travel, and I found when I traveled with my daughter, when we were out of our country, the United States, when we were in other countries, I found that I was more actively seeking and talking to people because I wanted to learn more about everyone's culture and background. And so now when I travel, even if it's here in the United States, I try to take that same mindset that it's important to say hi to someone and find out more about their background and what they're doing, and how can you support them, because we're also interconnected. And the internet and the Zoom has actually made it very easy for people to meet and connect. I mean, you and I are talking and we're not in the same room. And so the Zoom has made it very easy. But at the same time, Zoom has made it more difficult when we finally meet people face to face, because we don't have this tech between us. We actually have to interact with people. And I think, we sort of have lost the skill of small talk, not so much meaningless small talk, but just connecting with people. And I love learning about people's backgrounds. So it's not easy. Obviously, again, you are always afraid of being rejected or having someone say, no, I don't want to talk to you. And that's, that is scary at times. But, on the flip side, I've had remarkable stories shared with me simply because I said, hi, how are you doing? And
so let's talk about your background. I would love to, and our viewers would love to know, what's your background? Why CryptoMom2? Where did you get that name from?
Yeah. So I knew that I'm a mom. I'm a single mom. And so I also knew that there were others who had sort of tagged the crypto mom, in the online space. So I figured, okay, I'll be crypto mom too. That way it kind of designates me. And I knew that I wanted to tell my story of what I was learning at the same time that I wanted to help others who were learning as well, because it's not easy to navigate cryptocurrency or the blockchain when you first start. To open up a wallet, to know where do you go, what do you do? It's like any other learning. It can be scary at times. So I really wanted my talk show and anything that I do to be informative, educational, and not simplified, and where but simpler, to have people understand how to kind of take that first step. So that's why I did the CryptoMom2. And really, I feel like with dads, dads are definitely important. But I was thinking moms are always teaching, so that was another thing that I was thinking about.
And you said that you're not only your background and your training is not only in law, but you're also an educator.
Yeah. I'm a
Maybe you
special
can-
educator.
Mhm.
I'm nationally board certified. And there's like only about 130,000 educators who have that certification. I love being in the special education field because of the fact that, again, I meet a lot of creative children, a lot of creative adults. And part of what it's taught me in the special education field is alternative learning styles. You know, again, there's not just one path of how we learn or what we do. And so I like to kind of have that translate over into lifestyle.
You know, and that's one of the regrets that I have, is that I didn't have a teacher like that when I was younger, when I was studying, when I was, learning, when I was, a kid. Someone who would bring me to like the latest technologies. And that's before our recording, I told you on another call that that's something that I admire you for, that not only your background is in law, and we'll talk about your training in a second, what that sort of skill set brings to your life. But what's my point is that imagine, the kids that someone like you can educate them about blockchain. The schools don't do that. Parents don't do that. Culture doesn't do that. On the internet, there's like, games and funny things, and that's fine. But if you can educate, if you have that skill set, and you can also put it into stories, the latest, the thing that's going to be, when they grow up, maybe in 5 years, that's going to be inviolable. The same in my life. So I was fortunate because I had some people that I met as well, not educators per se, that people that were teaching me, but some people that I just met, they were great programmers, for example, and they inspired me to learn about web technologies. And in my life, that was so important because that's where it brought me. Like here, for a kid that was growing up in an orphanage in Krakow in Poland, that didn't have anything. It was a basically life chance, and that's because someone that I met inspired me to learn about JavaScript, inspired me to learn about web technologies. They said, hey, in 10 years, and that was a decade ago, in 10 years, everything will run on this technology. I'm like, you don't know, but hey, let's learn about it. And I did that, and I feel that your mission here, it's huge, and it's gonna impact, the future of those kids that you actually educate. And because you took the time, unlike other people in your space, to educate yourself about the future, not about the past, because the past, that's what happened. We can learn from it, but we will live in the future. So let's talk about your training in law and how, because you're not an active lawyer right now, how does that skill, how does that training in law, how does it sort of add to your, I would say, to the tools that you have in your disposal?
It's exactly right. It's part of my toolkit. And that's one of the things that I realized as I was growing up and going through various career paths. Every entrepreneurial project that I've explored, or even on the teaching side or on the law side, it's all part of the toolkit that I bring to whoever I'm helping, because service is really the thread that kind of carries throughout what powers me and passion and helps me with the projects that I'm passionate about. I love the fact that I went through the legal field, and I'm still active as a lawyer. But I realized that I wanted to do something different with my legal background. And right now, within the consulting area that I do in the blockchain or the cryptocurrency side, I am not focusing on what to invest in. I'm really focusing on how do you position that information so that way your families can benefit from it, your company can benefit from it. It's more, I guess it is from the will side, the estate planning side, the contract side. I take all that, and so with different individuals that I talk with, I can pull the resources that I know, other attorneys who are more active in terms of what's going on with state legislature or the federal side. But I'm more of a generalist, so I know how to put the pieces together. And it sort of is like when you are in construction, you have a general manager that kind of oversees everything. I feel like I'm the general manager of a consulting firm, making sure I pull all the pieces in. So that way, depending upon what the problem is, it gets solved and the solution actually helps the client. So the consulting that I'm doing is really problem solving. And it goes back to the education side, because everything that we do has a legal consequence, whether it's
especially in this country where the rule of law is predominant.
Yeah.
Or in the UK,
Yeah. Yeah. It's everything, whether it's a physical contract that you sign or click on terms and conditions, that's a contract, or, whether there's nothing in writing, but you are still agreeing to pay someone something, that's still a contract. So again, there's always some sort of consequence that, and so my law background is sort of, I'm going full circle. I thought I had navigated away, even though in special ed, there's a lot of law there. I'm coming back to it, and it's fascinating to me because of the fact that there's so many layers involved.
Right, and one of the layers that I can hear is where you educate yourself, and then as having that toolkit with the training in law, you can really articulate. Because I think that's one of the things that lawyers can do pretty well. They can put together, a statement, express what you've learned, and then also your background in education, and that's very powerful. So transitioning and kind of going back to that Bitcoin conference again, a huge thread that I saw throughout the event was Bitcoin mining.
Yes.
A lot of our viewers don't really understand Bitcoin mining. Could you explain in an easy way what Bitcoin mining is and what it involves?
Yeah, I would love to. So Bitcoin, when you buy it on an exchange, you're receiving the Bitcoin that someone had to mine in order for you to receive. So the way I really like to kind of simplify it, but I'll get into a little bit more detail in a second. Think of a farmer that has an apple tree, and think of a supermarket. When you go to your supermarket, you buy a bag of apples. So that's all you get. And on an exchange, if you buy $10 worth of Bitcoin, that's all you're getting is $10 worth of Bitcoin. You don't own the apple tree. But if you are a Bitcoin miner, you own the apple tree because you actually create the apples, which are the Bitcoins that drop into the basket that get sold at the market. And you also create the stability that the apple tree does with the roots, because the Bitcoin rigs make sure that the entire system is stable because of the calculation that it happens and the security. So again, being a miner, and I'm a Bitcoin miner, and the QR code is, up there. If someone wants to go ahead and scan it.
That's the QR code, right?
Yeah, that's the QR code. So that way,
as you talk, I'm gonna scan it as well, so people can see that.
Yeah. So I decided to become a Bitcoin miner, even though I also own Bitcoin, because I wanted to have Bitcoin drop daily into my basket. So VBit was the original company, and they got bought out by Advanced Mining. And they have they're very eco-friendly. They power their mining pools with water, hydro, and they have mining pools in Colorado, Montana, Canada, and Europe. And so every
by the way, I need to connect you with someone that I met at the conference. Her name is Lisa. She's based in LA. And I know that she was looking for Bitcoin miners.
That would be great. That would be great.
What do you call it? The green Bitcoin mining?
The rigs. Yeah.
So I just sorry.
Yeah. No, it's okay. It's all good. I'll remember that too. So the benefit, I did some research. Now, there are a lot of companies out there. I wanted to have a company that was US based, even though only because I didn't want it to be cloud based, because platforms can close down. And so I was able to drive to Philadelphia, and I met the individuals up there. So
Maybe you can stop for a moment and just define for people that don't understand cloud-based between how do you call side-based?
Yeah. So cloud-based is like with your computer. It's your platform. If you have a website, that's on the cloud. That's online. So what that means is that there are
someone else controls the rigs, right? That's correct.
Yeah.
But you don't have access to it.
You don't have access. So I didn't want to do that. I wanted to actually have it be physically. Yeah. But I also didn't want to have it sent to my house. I didn't want to mine in my house. And what I liked about this company is that each of the rigs, the physical computers, they're high-speed computers. They have to be in order to do the calculations, but they are insured. So if something happens, they can get replaced. And the hosting package also covers the electrical, covers the maintenance. So everything is taken care of. So someone like myself that's not techie, all I have to do is, check my Bitcoin wallet and I can see what's dropping in. So for me, this is my retirement for the next 10 years. I'm just sitting on it. I'm not selling the Bitcoin. I'm just kind of not worrying about the market fluctuations. Again, there's always risk involved when you do investing, but I'm just kind of sitting on it.
Yeah. So again, if someone is interested in details, we'll link to your YouTube channel. We'll link to basically to the mini website where people can connect with you as well, and then they can learn more. But because of the time that we have here, and I have more questions, we'll just transition to one of the next sort of pillars, which is again education. And finance. And you just mentioned about retirement. So really it's all about the education and preparing yourself and investing. So I know you've chosen to educate others about different financial areas and financial freedom. So how and why did you choose to do this?
And I'm not a financial planner, so I just want to, share that. But being a lawyer and an educator, and also a mom and an entrepreneur, because I've had income pulled out from under me. So I know what it's like to have to pivot and think about alternative resources. So that's why I decided to kind of look into this, the Bitcoin mining and the other parts of the blockchain, because I thought for me, again, everyone has to do their own research. There's a lot of possibility here. And so again, whatever I invest, I'm willing to lose. But I also see that with the different financial markets that are out there, you do have real estate, you have mutual funds, you have traditional IRAs, things like that. A lot of the big banks, a lot of the big name businesses are starting to incorporate Bitcoin into their financial platforms. And so a lot of these resources are now going to be options for people. And that's another reason why I wanted to kind of do the research and learn more about it, so I could share with my listeners and yours more about, what they needed to think about.
Mm-hmm. And then someone just sent you an email because of that.
Exactly,
they're like, hey,
right.
I want to get educated. I want you to teach me. I want you to come into my house and show me your books. And by the way, on that note, let's talk about your beautiful book. And I love the title, The Bitcoin Cinderella.
It's the Bitcoin Cinderella. I know. I'm loving it.
Tell us a little bit about it and what's it about?
So anyone who's listening can go to Amazon, just to bitcoincinderella.com, and they'll be able to get a copy of the book. I wrote this fairy tale, and it's a series, to allow adults. It's an adult fairy tale, but you can read it with your teenager, with your young adults, even with your younger kids, just to start introducing them to what the concepts about the blockchain are, what the terminology is all about. Because again, we're all learning, and there's many layers to this. And so the first story is about Samantha, and she's on a quest to find her mom. So in the original Cinderella, the mom passes away. In this story, her mom is a blockchain engineer, and she's one of the original engineers that worked with Satoshi, who created Bitcoin, and she's on her own adventure in the metaverse. So you're learning in this fairy tale a lot of the terminology. And it follows the same traditional Cinderella story where you have a ball, but instead of it being just at the palace, it's both simultaneously at the palace as well as in a metaverse. And the prince meets Samantha, who's our Cinderella, in the metaverse, and he has to search for her. And the way he there's not a glass slipper here. Instead, it's all about matching wallets. And so again, it's a really sweet story. And this is the first one. The next one will be both about, there'll be one about Bitcoin mining. Then she's going to have an adventure in NFTs and cafes and metaverse. And then, there's so many, the things that I'm learning about the blockchain is there's these sustainability projects, there's commercial things that are going on. So she's going to be learning all about that. And at the same time that she's learning about it, we all will be exploring it. And for those that get a copy of the book.
Why should people get this book? Especially people that are not in the crypto yet, but they're planning to enter. And maybe, they're also a single mother as well, so they want to educate themselves, and they want to educate their children. So so maybe tell us the why.
Yeah, I appreciate that question. It's a really fun book to read and to learn, but also as a result of getting the book, you'll have access to free resources that I'll be sharing online with, the individuals that get a copy of it, because things on the blockchain are evolving so fast. So I know that in order for everyone to stay current, I need to be sharing online resources. And so this is just an entry way for people to have access to all that. So,
what age would you say the book's for?
Well, what age was Harry Potter? Again, what they thought about for Harry Potter was, older than younger. And so I think this cuts across all ages, because the Cinderella story is a fairy tale that they've made movies with, so I think that it's really both for the adult as well as the younger one. But if you are having your children read the story, it's important for you to read it as well with them, because this is about finances and financial literacy and understanding what this technology can do. So this is definitely a way to bridge the conversation within a family about possible new career path, as well as, how are you, like you talked about before, how are you developing your financial side of the blockchain? So again, these are technical things that are done in a fun way, but I think it's for conversations.
Yeah, folks, head over to Amazon and make sure that you order that book for your family, for your future, for your country, for your finances, in order to secure financial freedom. And that's very important, because as Jackie said, this space is changing all the time. So you'll be able to educate yourself and navigate through stories. And that's how children, by the way, that's how children learn. And that's how we learn best. Most of the Americans, most of the people in the world are kind of, illiterate. That's the study, that people are prefer to watch the videos or listen to a podcast rather than, read the book. So that's another reason that you should stack up, and also maybe especially single moms, because I think that's a beautiful example of a mother that's educating herself, putting yourself outside your comfort zone, and you're kind of you're the what's it called, in English, trailblazer, like you're going. Yes. And you're creating a path for other mothers, for other people. Like, hey, just grab that resource, and I will help you. You can always connect with Jackie. Jackie, thank you for your time. Final words and final statements, maybe sort of summary of the time we've had here.
Really quick, I also want to just mention the Bitcoin Cinderella is being translated into Spanish, and my goal is to have it translated into German and Portuguese and French as well,
and Polish and Polish. So if someone in Poland, I'll try to get you some connections. But if someone from Poland is listening in and they can translate the book, please send an email to me Obviously, you have all the info. You can click on the links and then connect with us.
That would be great. So I guess what I wanted to share with everyone at last, minute thoughts is take the time to ask the questions so you can learn. This is a really fun space to be in. It's an important space to be in. You have to be careful. You have to do your research. And if you have questions, just reach out. I might not know everything, but I will find the information for you, or I'll find someone else who might know that information. We can't know it all, but we can network and support each other. And by doing that, we're making the whole community stronger. So everyone's been helping me as I learn, and I want to pass it forward and help others. And that's what it's all about.
Jackie, I could not agree more with your summary here. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your experiences. Thank you for being an amazing human being that's sort of trailblazing and then creating the path for others like myself so we can learn and do more of what you're doing right now.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on. It's been so exciting to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Życie bez gruchy. Jedyny życiowy podcast w Polsce stworzony dla geeków.